SCP-3008, the Infinite IKEA. It started with an ordinary shopping trip. Eric had been to IKEA dozens of times before, who hasn't? He needed a new chair, something ergonomic. But that day, as he strolled through the wide, gleaming halls of neatly displayed furniture and catchy Swedish names, he felt something strange in the air. He was on his way to the lighting section, mentally debating between the sleek modern lamp and the rustic wood one. He turned a corner, passed by a cluster of display beds, and suddenly, the layout seemed different, wrong even. He didn't remember this section being so vast. He shrugged it off as IKEA's labyrinthine design and kept walking, determined to find the exit and get back to his normal life. After a while, though, Eric noticed that he wasn't seeing any signs leading him to the checkout. The familiar bright yellow arrows painted on the floor were nowhere to be found. He passed through identical sections over and over again, living rooms, kitchens, bedrooms. It was as if the store had folded in on itself, looping infinitely. He checked his watch, 4:15 p.m. He'd been here too long. Where are the other shoppers? The longer he wandered, the more disturbing the absence of people became. IKEA was always bustling, but now it felt like a ghost town. Not even the usual blue and yellow-clad employees could be seen. Eric's chest tightened. He picked up his pace, trying to suppress the growing dread gnawing at his mind. After what felt like hours of walking, he stumbled upon something strange, something terrifying. Ahead of him, in a mock-up of a cozy living room, sat a figure. At first, Eric thought it was a mannequin, frozen in place, perfectly still. But as he moved closer, he saw the shallow rise and fall of its chest. A person. Sitting alone, hunched over, their face buried in their hands. "Hey. Are you okay?" Eric called out, his voice echoing eerily through the empty aisles. The figure jerked upright, startled, their eyes wide and frantic. "You're new, aren't you?" the person muttered. "What? What do you mean?" Eric asked, trying to keep calm. "How do I get out of here?" The person stood up slowly, shaking their head. "There's no way out. You're in SCP-3008 now. The Infinite IKEA." Eric blinked, confused. "What are you talking about? SCP? This is just IKEA." The stranger gave him a haunted look. "That's what we all thought, at first. But you've entered something different. You're trapped here now." Eric felt his stomach drop. Trapped? That couldn't be right. He had a life outside, friends, responsibilities. He refused to accept this nonsense. "No," he snapped. "I'll find the exit." The stranger didn't argue, just stared at him with tired eyes. "Good luck," they whispered. "But when the lights go out, you'll see." Eric left them behind and marched onward, desperate to prove them wrong. He wandered deeper and deeper into the maze, convinced he was just missing a turn, a hallway, a door. But every path led to more furniture displays, endless rooms of couches, bookshelves, tables. Then, suddenly, the lights began to dim. Eric stopped in his tracks, his pulse racing. The overhead fluorescent lights buzzed and flickered before shutting off completely, plunging the vast store into an unnerving twilight. He heard a sound, soft footsteps echoing in the distance. Eric turned to see dark, humanoid shapes moving between the furniture displays. They were tall and faceless, dressed in IKEA uniforms, but something was terribly wrong. Their proportions were off, elongated, their limbs too long, their movements unnatural. They seemed to be searching for something, or someone. He gasped, his instincts screaming at him to hide. He darted behind a display of wardrobes, crouching low, peering through the gap in the doors. The figures glided past, silently scanning the aisles, their heads swiveling unervingly. Eric held his breath, terrified they would hear him. These must be the employees, he thought in horror. But what the hell are they? The stranger's words echoed in his mind, "When the lights go out, you'll see." As the faceless employees moved farther away, Eric dared to emerge from his hiding spot. He couldn't stay in one place. He had to find help, other survivors, anyone who knew how to survive this nightmare. After what felt like hours of creeping through the aisles in the dark, he found a large, makeshift fort made from IKEA furniture, tables stacked on top of one another, mattresses lining the walls. It looked like something out of a survival movie. And inside, huddled around battery-powered lanterns, were people. Real people. They noticed him immediately. "Newcomer," someone shouted, rushing over to greet him. "Get inside before they come back." Eric was ushered into the fort, and the entrance was sealed behind him with a heavy shelving unit. He was safe, at least for the moment. The group was a motley mix, men and women of all ages. Some had been there for days, others for years. "How long have you been here?" Eric asked, still in shock. A grizzled man with a bandana shook his head. "There's no telling. Time doesn't work the same in here. You just survive." Eric slumped against a makeshift couch. His mind reeled with questions. How do we escape? What are those things? But before he could ask, the older man answered, as if reading his thoughts. "No one knows how to escape. Some of us have found exits, but they always lead back inside. And those creatures you saw? They're employees. But they're not human. Not anymore." Eric's heart sank. Was there really no way out? Over the next few days, Eric learned the hard rules of life in the Infinite IKEA. By day, they scoured the endless aisles for food and supplies, water bottles, canned goods, anything they could find from abandoned sections of the store. At night, they fortified their shelter and hid from the employees, who became more aggressive as the darkness fell. As the days stretched on, Eric began to lose hope of ever escaping. The Infinite IKEA was a world of its own, a bizarre, twisted reflection of the mundane shopping experience. And with each passing day, the lines between sanity and madness blurred. But Eric refused to give in completely. There had to be a way out. There had to be. And so, the story of SCP-3008 continues. Eric, like so many before him, is just another lost soul wandering the never-ending aisles, trapped in a world where the furniture never stops, and the employees are always watching. If you ever find yourself in an IKEA and notice the store feeling off, maybe it's best to leave as quickly as you can. Because once you enter SCP-3008, you may never find the exit again. The end. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe.